totally surprised me. Came right in. I had to make something up. I told her I was just trying it on for a few minutes.
Hold it.
No, I was wearing it.
What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. It's Christmas Eve. Here we sit with the world. We reflect upon the good things in our life. I am sitting here with my Coca-Cola glass of sangria. Sangria in a Coca-Cola glass. I don't give a damn, as they say. 'Tis the season to talk about things that are holiday and Christmas related, since Christmas is the day after tomorrow. Did you know that there is a Christmas movie where Santa literally wages war against an entire army of snowmen?
Scramble the reindeer! Attack! Attack!
Yeah, it's a thing. It's what we're gonna be it's what we're gonna be talking about this video. So without further ado, let us go ahead and buckle into our favorite sleigh with our favorite elves. Let us wage a great war against a snowman whose flute broke because he's a mute. Let us make a bunch of Star Wars references. Let us make a bunch of other movie references, undoubtedly, that was speckled in this spectacle that I may have overlooked. Let us, of course, smash that like button for the Yuletide cheer. And let's talk about Santa versus the Snowman. Let me take a nice sip. Sangria in the turlet. So anyway, as per usual, this is the part of the video where I talk about the speed paint. This speed paint is, of course, the titular Santa versus the titular Snowman, done in the style of Smash Bros. Ultimate. You know, a nice little versus thing. It's kind of a funny little joke, because with all the characters they've been announcing for Smash Bros., I wouldn't be surprised if Santa was a playable character, because it seems they got everybody under the sun except Dante. But, you know, there's that. So here's our little Smash Bros. Santa vs. Snowman homage for the Santa vs. the Snowman 3D, because it was a 3D movie. It was a little project made back, I believe, in 2002. It's a short little half-hour diddly bop where, you know, It was back in the day where the 3D movies were kind of really kicking off. I would say like the late 90s, early 2000s era, where you had a lot of these little gimmick shows in 3D where they would do that shtick where, you know, they stick things in front of the camera to make you go ooh and ah as it kind of, you know, shoved in your face. And Santa vs. the Snowman was no different. The story itself is about a lonely little snowman who is so lonely that he grew up and lived his whole life not talking to anyone because he's so lonely, and his only method of communication was this ice flute that he would play. Unfortunately, one day, Santa is doing a low flyby in his sleigh and knocks over the snowman, and his flute breaks, and the snowman, with no means of communication, decides to follow Santa back to his workshop. And so he goes to the workshop, and he's seeing all these happy little elves doing happy little things, and in the window he sees a brand new flute. One not made of ice. It's actually a wooden flute, I would presume. And so without a means of communication, the snowman steals the flute from the workshop. And as soon as the snowman steals the flute from the workshop, something hilarious happens. The tone of this movie suddenly shifts, where all of a sudden there's like red alerts and alarms going off, and you got the elves dressed like commandos, like searching for the flute and everything, and they... You know, and they, like, you know, quickly capture the snowman and take the flute back and kick him out and everything. And it's kind of funny. And then, of course, the snowman, you know, very, very miffed that Santa, this great guy who has friends and all the love in the world, you know, the snowman is very jealous of this, and he believes that, hey, that's not fair. I want to be Santa. So so the snowman concocts this plan to fight Santa by doing some weird freaky-deaky eldritch magic nonsense where he summons an entire army of like snowmen drones who pilot these igloos that are like the AT, I think they're called the AT-AXs. The two-legged ones from Star Wars, not the four-legged ones, the smaller one from Return of the Jedi. And so, like, he has, like, a whole army of that. And, of course, like, Santa, like, mounts a counter-assault with all the elves. And there's, like, a literal war at the North Pole. And, like, Santa loses. And, you know, and then, like, the snowman takes his place. And there's this whole thing where, like, the snowman tries to be Santa, but he can't be Santa because he's a snowman, and all he has is ice toys, and they all melt in the hands of the children, and the children cry, and then, like, the real Santa comes by, and he says, like, let me do the job, in, like, spirit of Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And like, the twist is that the flute that the snowman stole was actually his Christmas present. And, friendship lesson goes here, blah, 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 blah. The funny thing is that this movie was clearly made to be kind of the classic, kitschy kids movie of, like, the spirit of giving is the real spirit of Christmas. And the funny thing is that you can understand that this movie kind of knows that. But they decided, if we're going to make this lame-o kid movie about Santa, let's at least make it entertaining and put a war in the North Pole. And so they did. It very much feels like it's like a making lemonade out of lemons kind of situation. The interesting thing about my history of this movie is that I actually do remember seeing it when it first came out. I can't remember if it first came out on, like, IMAX or something like that, or if it just came out on TV. I watched it on TV, and I don't remember if there was a 3D glasses gimmick there obviously was one because it was made for 3D, but I don't know if I watched it in 3D on the TV or not, because they would sometimes do that. You could buy the red-blue 3D glasses and wear that and watch a TV special. Point is that I was really young. I was a wee lad when I first saw this movie way back in 2002. And for the longest time, it was one of those situations where you ever, like, watch something and you can't confirm whether or not it was a real thing you saw or some kind of fever dream, or maybe it was like a normal dream, or maybe it was something else you were mistaking for something else. Because the premise of Santa versus the snowmen in a full-scale war was so nutty that I assumed for years that it was either like a fever dream or a dream or whatever, or at the very least that it was maybe one of those early edgy Newgrounds animations that I was kind of mistakenly cross-contaminating with another movie I saw. And it wasn't until very recently, and by very recently I mean this year, that I finally looked it up, and sure enough, not only is it real, it's pretty much as crazy as I remember it. It's straight up a war in the North Pole. And what's really funny is that, again, even though it's clearly made to be like, ho-ho, children, and ho-ho, spirit of Christmas, they do their best to insert some, more adult-referenced humor in there. And I kind of appreciate that because, as I was mentioning earlier in the video, it seems like one of those situations where the creators were tasked with making a kitschy little Christmas movie, and they were thinking like, oh, great. Well, if we're going to do it, let's at least try to make it funny. And they did, I'm sure there are quotas they had to meet. Whenever you're making things for kids, it's quite strict in certain areas where you got to do this, and you got to make sure you got to say that. There's a lot of, like, Hayes law, for lack of a better term, that you have to follow. But it's very interesting that because, like, given, and again, this is all presumption, by the way. I have zero factual evidence as to whether or not this is the case. This is just something I'm kind of projecting on. This is what I'm imagining, but I imagine if this were the case, that the creators were tasked with making a, happy, cutesy, safe for kids Christmas movie. They said, like, okay, what can we get away with? And they made they made this crazy thing, and I appreciate that they did that. So I guess in the long run, it's kind of like a did it hold up, right? Kind of. It pretty much did. I was not going into this thinking it was going to be a magnum opus or a masterpiece. I'm surprised, first of all, that it existed at all, and it wasn't just something I either made up or misremembered. So it definitely has points there. Again, because I understand what it's meant to be. Given its constraints, it did well to be entertaining. So, I gotta say, for that, I salute these guys. I'm good on you. It was definitely an entertaining Christmas short. So, people, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here for today. As per usual, you know what to do. If you want to, see more of my content, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Do it as a Christmas present for you and me. In addition, please comment below. Have you seen this movie? Let me know if you have or have not. Have you had this same phenomenon that I was describing, where you thought you saw something and you weren't sure if it was real or not, only to discover that not only was it real, but it was every bit as crazy as you remember it? Please, I would love to hear the stories on that one. In addition, of course, go ahead and share the video because it's good for everyone. Tis the season of giving and sharing and caring. So, do so for you, me, and the algorithm and all your little buddies. And of course, in addition, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the Eaterbutts, go ahead and follow me on these links on the screen. I usually post, particularly Minds.com. Again, I always love pitching Minds because it's one of the new alternative social media websites that are helping to break this death grip that these tech monopolies have upon our pathetic lives. And with all that said, I greatly thank you for following me throughout this year and the other years if you're older followers. I hope you have a very Merry Cribbage or a Happy Hanukkah or a Kwanzaa or whatever you may celebrate. And until next time, deuces to all, and to all a good night.